Welcome back. You're watching Luck on Sunday. Now, on the 19th of June last year, 2019, Robbie Downey, the rider's life changed because he went to take a ride in France at Lyon d'Angers and he was selected for random urine testing. Now, on the 30th of July, so 5 weeks later, France Gallo informed Robbie that he tested positive for metabolites of cocaine. Now, that was only the beginning of a lengthy and very painful saga for the rider who started his career in his native Ireland, did extremely well, and was basing himself in the north of England to good effect, brought a halt to that, and he's joined me now to tell you his story and how things might have worked out very differently, but for the BHA this week, reciprocating officially France Gallo's ban. As I say, that tells but half the story. Robbie, good morning and thank you for joining us here on Luck on Sunday.
Good morning, Nick, and thanks for having me.
Not at all. It's a pleasure to have you with us. So first things first, did you take cocaine?
No, never took cocaine. I don't know how it got into my system. Never associated with anybody who does take cocaine. And I couldn't believe when the French result came back. It came back to Eddie Lynham's yard in Dunshaughlin, my former boss, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, when I got the result, I rang my agent at the time, who was Laura Way, and she then gave me Paul Struthers' number. So I rang Paul and told him what had happened, told him I went to France, did a urine sample, couldn't believe it was there, and Paul said to me, he said, look, Robbie, he said if you have taken it, he said, just own up to it. He said, if you have taken it, own up to it, because it's going to cost you a lot of money. He said it's going to be a lengthy procedure, and he says just not worth it. He says you will find out in the hair test whether you've taken it or not. I said, Paul, I haven't taken it. He said, okay, that's perfect. He said, go and get a hair test done. So I went to Alpha Biolabs in Liverpool, booked myself in to get a hair test. The result came back, I think just over a week later, came back completely negative for cocaine and all of its metabolites. So I then rang Paul, told him about this. He informed Jerry Hill, the doctor. Jerry Hill then cleared me to ride in England, and the BHA cleared me to ride in England off the evidence of the negative hair test. So I got in touch then with a French jockey's agent, Hervé Nagar, who was brilliant throughout the whole process, because he could speak French, he could translate what the French emails were, and you know, he was just very good that way. And he said to me, look, Robbie, he said France Gallo, they won't listen to you know, they won't take into consideration an English hair test. He says you'll have to come to France and do one. So I said, yeah, perfect. I said, absolutely no worries. Went to France, went to some lab over there, obviously paid for the 2 hair samples myself. That sample came back completely negative as well over a 5-month period. It was a 5 and a 6-month period I had. So there was no traces of cocaine, no metabolites found. And so we had the appeal in France, and what I thought going over for the appeal was, what the impression I was getting was, I was going to lose in France. There was no point in bringing legal representation because Rab Havlin had spent thousands over there, and you know, it was just, you know. And
how similar were the 2 cases?
I'm not sure on Rab's case, but Paul told me I had a lot stronger of a case. Obviously, Rab's case was quite similar, and I think the Professional Jockeys Association, they learnt a lot from Rab's case, and they learnt, you know, Rab spent a lot of money in France, and it just came to, you know what I mean, it was money wasted really. And that's what I was informed when I went to France. I went there thinking, you know, I was told, France, you don't really have a chance with France. He says the best thing to do is let England sort it out. England knew we were going to ask for non-reciprocation, even before the French gave me the ban. They knew that if they did ban me, that we were going to ask England not to reciprocate at the BHA. and went to France with the 2 hair tests. Obviously asked them for my levels to be tested in my B sample. France never gave me my levels for the B sample. They denied. The BHA asked them for the levels. The professional jockeys asked them for the levels, and without the right to have my levels, I couldn't get an expert witness, because no expert witness could obviously comment
because he didn't have the levels. Because there is just to clarify, there is a level below which it's considered so low it would incorporate some possibility of contamination.
Yeah.
I.e. that there might be some faint trace of a metabolite of cocaine that could show up in your system, but because it's below a threshold, it's so low, so insignificant, that you could have picked it up from doing that off a surface or in a loo somewhere or wherever, or off an associate. That's a given, isn't it?
That's why the BHA operated threshold, it's 150 nanograms per 100 millilitres of urine in a urine sample, and anything under 150 nanograms, the BHA don't take any action.
No.
They just write it off as a false positive.
So it could conceivably have been that your level was below that threshold.
Yeah, well,
that's what you were assuming.
Yeah, well, the hair tests would strongly suggest that. The 2 hair tests would pretty much say that. Yeah, they would support it,
but without the evidence.
Yeah, without the evidence of the levels, and without, I couldn't get an expert witness.
You couldn't get an expert witness in France.
Yeah.
So your hearing essentially had no chance in France.
I had no chance. I had no chance without being given my levels. I had no chance to prove my innocence, really.
So you sort of take it as read that France is a no, and this isn't going to happen, and so it was proved, and they kicked out any possibility of an appeal. So then your hopes rest with the BHA, and your hopes rest with the BHA not reciprocating the decision of France Gallo. You know that's going to be difficult, but you're offered a faint sniff of a possibility.
Yeah, exactly. I was always told, look, the best chance of winning is your best chance of winning is not going to be in France, it's going to be in England when we bring the case back. And Jerry Hill, the doctor from the BHA, he believes I've never touched cocaine. Matt Chapman, Paul Struthers, the Jockeys Association, they all, the BHA actually, there's 2 cases where jockeys have to abide by hair testing every 3 months to prove that they haven't been taking this and they haven't been taking drugs, basically. So with these hair tests, the BHA, they know I haven't taken the drugs because they support hair testing, because they use it on these 2 jockeys. So we brought it back to the BHA. The BHA, they said at worst they were going to take a neutral stance. In other words, they were going to sit in the fence 50-50. They could have supported it. And the week leading up to the hearing, we had, it was a letter from... Yeah,
because just to clarify, so your case goes to an independent appeals tribunal, essentially.
Yeah.
So the BHA can either choose to oppose your application for non-reciprocity, they can support it, or they can remain on the fence.
Yeah, and and the BHA, as far as we knew, as far as the Jockeys Association knew, I knew, at worst they were going to sit in the fence, but they were leaning towards supporting my application. And we found out the afternoon at 3 o'clock before the hearing, the day before the hearing, that actually the BHA, they're not going to support it, they're not going to sit in the fence, they're actually going to oppose it.
Because they'd taken legal counsel just the previous week, and legal counsel had said to them, you must reciprocate France Gallo's ban. How does that make you feel? Very disappointed in France, or in the BHA in France. Like I know I'm 100% innocent, and I'm getting banned from now until the middle of July. Like it's the whole season gone. There's only 3 months of the flat season left after that. It's just it's very disappointing. How much do you think it's cost you personally? I know a lot of people do come back from bans and this, that and the other, but at this point in my career I was first year in England. I was trying to get going. David O'Mara, David Barron, John Quinn, all good supporters of me.
I just think it was a crucial stage in my career, and obviously I didn't need any of this happening, you know. Yeah, I think it has definitely affected me, and hopefully I can get back, and you know, I'll definitely be sticking my mind to a lot of hard work now for the summer and trying to get back in July.
Is there anything you can do now, or is this the end of the road in terms of fighting this?
We have a chance. I think there's a possibility that the BHA might backdate the ban, because I was in India, and I did ride in Ireland the last couple of weeks, but my main, you know, I had a contract in India. I was out there for a month. As soon as the French ban was imposed, that contract stopped, and I took a couple of rides in Dundalk of a Friday. But I think if even, obviously it's no great help, but if even they backdated it to November 22nd, it'd be something at least, you know.
Because that would bring you back a month,
yeah.
6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
So you'd be able to ride end of
Exactly.
May rather than wait till July.
Exactly, yeah. I don't think there's much now we can do. I think we can do a few little things. We can apply to the Irish Horse Racing Board and
see if you can get a licence just to ride in Ireland.
Yeah.
And have you had any feedback from them?
No, I hadn't had any feedback from them yet. Paul and the Jockeys Association is working towards that now at the minute, but yeah, it's not good.
And is there representation in Ireland who can take that on, take your case on for you?
There is, yeah. Andrew Coonan is the Jockeys representative in Ireland. Obviously, I'm licensed with England still. Well, I was, so I'm sure Paul Struthers again will back me up on that.
I don't think I've ever seen Paul or heard Paul Struthers so incensed about a case in all the time that he's been the boss of the Professional Jockeys Association. Has he communicated that to you?
He has, yeah. Paul firmly believes I've never taken the drugs. If I had, you know, why would I go to the expense of getting hair tests? You know, this happened in June. It's after running until now. You know, like it's been a long process. To be honest, I thought the BHA would back me up and support me. I thought I'd get cleared. I have all the evidence. The hair testing supports my, you know what I mean. Like everything is in black and white. I've not taken the drug. I've never taken any drugs, and I've still got banned for something that I haven't done.
As far as the future's concerned, I know it seems like an eternity, but it'll race by, especially if you're keeping yourself fit, which you are, and I know you're still riding out and so forth. Where do you think you're going to base yourself when you come back? What would be your ideal?
It's kind of a tough decision because, you know, obviously I'm going to be starting from kind of scratch again in July and trying to get going, and you know, we've only sort of 3.5, 4 months left then of the racing season, and it's going to be in full swing and everyone's going to have their jockeys. But I'd love to. I was thinking Ireland. Hopefully I could get the job back out in India again next winter. So I'm only really going to have 3 months. I'd love to give England another go. Obviously there's more racing here. It might be a bit easier to try and get going after the 6 months is up, rather than just a couple of meetings in Ireland every week. But it's a little bit, you know, I haven't really thought that far ahead yet.
And have you had support from trainers? Have trainers rung you up and said, look, don't worry about it, when you come back we'll give you rides?
Yeah, David O'Meara's been brilliant, Eddie Lynham's been brilliant, John McConnell, they've given me rides the last couple of weeks. You know, I've had a lot of support from people, like, you know, obviously when it came out first, you know, you needed the hair test to back up your theory, but like as I said, I've all the evidence there. I've never taken it. It's in black and white. I haven't taken it. Everybody knows now that I haven't taken any drugs, you know. So yeah, no, it's definitely, I'm definitely getting a lot of support from people now. Yeah.
Well, I sincerely hope that you sort of find the strength to put this behind you and get through the next few months as best you can, even if you can't get a licence, Robbie. I really appreciate you coming to talk to us today. I'm sorry for the difficulties that you've gone through, and fingers crossed the authorities in whichever country can throw you a bit of a lifeline on this. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nick. Thanks very much for having me.
Subscribe to Racing TV to be notified when more Luck on Sunday videos are appearing online. And don't forget to join me for the show every Sunday morning from 9 o'clock with the best guests.